Greetings, young strategy scholars. Welcome back to the ongoing video series. This installment will be targeting attractive market segments. You should be thinking, oh, I've had this before, and you should have in your previous marketing courses at a bare minimum. Principles of marketing, but I would dare say nearly all of them. So, market segmentation, target marketing, and positioning. Three different things, meaning different things, obviously. So, why do we even care about segmenting markets and maybe targeting certain markets after we might carve them up based on different criteria, whatever we decide is best for us? Because they're all, or as the slide says, heterogeneous. Most markets are heterogeneous, meaning they're not, a zip code is not populated by a group of people that generally like and do and care about the same things. They may be generally in the same income level. Maybe that's one factor we would use to segment an area, but product preferences, size and growth and demand, media habits, all be different. So therefore, we take complex entities, markets, and we try to segment them into markets that are groups of people or consumers that behave maybe in a certain way. So in depth, a little more. You can see the following three decision processes are closely linked and interdependent, but they're not the same. So market segmentation. That's where we're looking to divide a market into distinct subsets of customers or consumers that have similar needs and characteristics that lead them to respond perhaps in similar ways. Not exactly the same, but similar to particular product offerings and programs. Target marketing is we're going to look at those different segments and evaluate if one is more attractive than the other based on market potential. Is it growing or is it shrinking? Are there a lot of competitors going after that particular target market? Can we go head to head with them? Do we want to? Can we deliver to them what they want the way they want it? And maybe we decide that we don't want to target that particular target market. Maybe we find another one. And brand positioning. If you had me before, brand positioning is what the consumer thinks of the product. Not what the firm does, but the place it holds the consumer's mind. And I've talked about Bayer aspirin dozens of times before, being viewed as a heart attack medication today. And 40 years ago, it was for a headache or children's toothache. So that's brands can position themselves in different ways, even when they don't change the brand name or, in the case of Bayer aspirin, even the product at all. Just change the way consumers view it. So why is that important? Customers have more varied and sophisticated needs, tastes, and lifestyles. As we talked about before, most broader markets are pretty heterogeneous, involving all sorts of people. Unless it's, three people living on an island and they're all the same age and do the same things. And things change. One thing that's constant is change. Disposable incomes are higher today than they were 30 years ago. Education levels overall are higher, but in some areas might not be. The internet has created a lot of disintermediation. People have a ton of information. They don't, have to go to the store and touch and look at everything. And the second bullet talks about microsegmentation. That's when firm can look for an extremely small market segment. And I say small in relation to, let's say the population of the United States is 330 million. So if you took 1 million people in the scheme of the entire population of the United States, that'd be a very small segment. But 1 million people, potential customers, is a lot of people. If you have a niche good and you can micro segment to those people. So those are some causes and things that it's important. It's important in marketing because it's important in life. You can reach consumers you want to target, customers you want to target, the most efficient way you can, and as quickly as you can. So, objectives of market segmentation. We're trying to identify a homogeneous segment that differs from other segments. So we're trying to take a homogeneous zip code and find out who in that zip code at least 2 children and would be in the market for a landscaping service, let's say, or whatever. That's just an example. So you can think of examples. Those are criteria, how I might define a segment if I was in a landscaping business. And I would base it on people that could afford to do it, people that were maybe busy, professionals that didn't have time or didn't enjoy cutting their grass, working in the yard, whatever. And then you want to determine how big is it. Supposing the zip code, you say these are the people that we need, and you put those parameters on, like I just said, for the landscaping service, and you find, well, okay, there's only 100 people in the zip code that hit that. You know, if we convert 10% of them, which would be kind of high, that's 10. So maybe that's not an area we should market in. There's just not a lot of potential. It's not very big unless it's growing. You think, well, it'll grow into it over the next couple of years. Maybe so. That's how market research comes in. So how are market segments best defined? Who the customers are, where are they, and how do they behave? Those are 3 questions that you want to ask yourself in a firm when you're embarking on some market segmentation. So how can you slice up and dice up a market? Well, some common ways that people use are age. Think of a classroom, a college classroom that's got 30 students in it. And we could divide them up by age, sex, gender, race, ethnic origin. We could do it by how many miles away from the campus people live, whatever. These are all examples of demographic segmentation. Also popular is behavioral segmentation. What are the consumers seeking from the product or service? Go back to the landscaping. What benefits are they seeking? One consumer might be seeking a beautiful yard. Another consumer might think, I just don't want to have to do it or think about it. I have enough on my mind, right? Those would be different benefits they seek. Some people love to get a quick oil change because they just don't have time to fool with it. Other people like going out and changing their own oil, right? They're getting different benefits from that oil change. So you look at the desired characteristics, what you're looking for, and what you have to offer, and how valuable each one is to the consumer. If you're offering a bundle of benefits that are not what I'm looking for, they even might have a fine product or service. I'm just not interested in it. It's like advertising that your motel has air conditioning. Okay, they all do. So when I'm evaluating motels, that doesn't even come into my consideration. So that's just useless to advertise that. So you can define segments in terms of presence or absence of characteristics, or you can weight them by importance. And lifestyle segments segments marketed on basis of customers' activities, interests, and opinions. As an example, American Farm to Table Restaurant Guide. There is a recently developed genre of restaurants that are farm to table. Right? The green beans didn't travel from California to Atlanta. They were grown 20 minutes away. Not that much exhaust used in trucks to get them there. They were in the field last night. Various things that appeals to people. And there are people that use that to advertise because that means a lot to people. I was told recently by a person affiliated with Whole Foods that farm to table or locally grown things were more popular than organic things because people like to eat things that were grown close to where they're buying it and they weren't shipped all over the world and the country. Anyway, to that end, this used to be one of my favorite restaurants in Marietta, Georgia, which is for some reason closed overnight after about 4 or 5 years. I don't know why, but I'm still going to use it as an example. You can see how they describe themselves. I got a chicken and an egg, word and picture. Not a picture of an egg, a picture of a chicken. Modern farmstead fare. Let us bring you back to your grandmother's table. Their thing was on the menu, it described where everything came from. If you're eating brunch or breakfast there, where the eggs came from, where the sausage came from, the nearby farms where they source the stuff. And I didn't really care too much about that. It was just delicious. But if you cared about, supporting your area farmers, people that grew this stuff, not on a factory farm, then that was an appeal to you. Or it didn't require a ton of exhaust and putting carbon in the air to get it there. But anyway, that's just an example of the way you can use behavioral segmentation and behavioral characteristics to market to people, giving them something that they care about, that's something they're seeking. So, targeting strategies. 3 common strategies: niche, which is, let's say, small; mass, which would be everybody; and growth. So we'll just talk briefly about niche first. Used to serve segments seeking specialized benefits, right? If it's, organic, locally sourced ice cream or something, you would employ a niche market strategy because the lady that was using a coupon to buy the Walmart store brand, she's not interested in you anyway. For whatever her reasons, economic or otherwise, she's just looking to buy something called ice cream that's cheap. And so you would incorporate a niche market strategy if you're selling, say, a premium priced item like I just described. And designed to avoid direct competition with larger firms. If you're starting a firm or you're running a firm and you say, I don't really want to go head to head with Kroger and Walmart on eggs or ice cream. We're going to offer something that people can't find there, something they're seeking. And we need a niche market strategy to find those people. A reading that I will post on the D2L site by an author named, I'll say Shani, I don't know, it could be Shani, kind of talks about it a little more and the distinction between segmentation and niche market. The article talks about the erosion of the mass marketer. We can talk about, if you think about the television market, where it used to be 3 channels and public television. And now you can watch, if you just like cooking or sports, you can just watch those 2. You never even know what's on the other channels. You can find things that suit your interest. You can find a point of view that you like and just stick with that and don't worry about other ones. A general erosion of mass market has been accelerated by the widespread adoption and infiltration of the internet. And I mentioned disintermediation earlier, cutting out the middleman. Think about Amazon, you can buy things direct. So, and the article integrates the modern concepts of relationship marketing and database marketing, more traditional concept of niche marketing. But you can read that on your own, and you should. So factors underlying market attractiveness and competitive position. What makes a market attractive or maybe not attractive? Let's say we're in the casket business. So we would go, is the population getting older? Let's say yes. Okay, that's a positive. Economics. People doing better today than they were 5 years ago, or worse today, and how will they be doing in the future? Let's say they'll be doing worse. So they're getting older and dying, but they're getting worse. Well, that might be a negative for us. On the other hand, governmental regulation has made it easy to open a funeral parlor. Let's say you only have to have an associate's degree and no other licensing, and you can bury them out back. Okay, that's a check. Technology. We could open up a website and say, we'll bury your uncle. $19.99 a month for 3 months. Okay, that's positive. You get it. And then competitive position factors. What's the threat of new entrants? Well, in that situation I just described, probably pretty much, since they've lowered the hurdles to get into the funeral business. That'd be a negative. Threat of substitutes? I don't know. You could, what do you call it? When you put somebody in the oven and, cremate. When you cremate, you could do that. So if it was the same price, yeah, we'd say that's a negative. Have buyer power or supplier power? Well, if it's easy to get in the business, we don't really have supplier power, so there's more buyer power, so they can drive the price down. We're going to leave this out. Competitive rivalry, maybe. That's next. So maybe in that scenario I just outlined about the funeral business, it's really weak on the competitive positioning factors. So you can see it's a way to look at things, or typology, where you can look at those 6 variables for your business or any firm about to start a business and kind of assess how it might look before you get into it. And you want to think about the future as well. A mass marketing strategy captures sufficient volume to gain economies of scale and a cost advantage. We think of Walmart. They advertise low prices, and they beat their suppliers down on the prices, and they make no bones about it. The downside for somebody looking to compete with Walmart would be the money it would take to get those kind of economies. And you would also have to have good mass marketing capabilities, which everybody doesn't have, and are also expensive. If everybody's your customer, then you need to advertise to everybody. And that requires a lot of advertising. And a lot of advertising on big, if you just think about television, on big nationwide events like the Super Bowl, the college football national championship, things like that. And those are expensive ads to buy. So we look at growth market strategy as the final of those 3. That's where you might pick 1 or 2 fast growth segments that you've identified. Again, smaller competitors often favor this type of strategy to avoid direct confrontations with big boys. Think of airlines. You'll see airlines pop up, and they'll just fly 2 routes from Michigan to Miami and Michigan to Tampa. Things like that. Require strong research development and marketing capabilities, because you typically are going to go head to head with some big boys in that deal, but you're thinking, in this particular area, I believe this is going to be more and more popular. So if you're a pioneer in that area, or you're a first mover, some people call it, then uh, you have to really do some great market research and have some good marketing capabilities to be able to reach out to people so that you can get in there. They know you're there and they you're good or service. All right. So with that said, that's essentially chapter 6 in a nutshell. And I will see you back on the internet for our next exciting installment. Be safe out there.